Are we good? Here we go. What's going on, everybody? And welcome into a brand new episode of the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Codd. This evening, alongside of me is my co-host, Jake Belts. What's up, Jake?
What's up, man? How you doing, man? Exciting night tonight.
Woo! Big night tonight. Big night tonight, folks. Man, first of all, we got a great race weekend out in Iowa, right? That was fantastic. We'll be talking a lot about that. But we also have a special guest that will be joining us this evening. Actually, in a few minutes, definitely talking about some stuff with us in regards to NASCAR. That is right. Tyler Summerfield of Full Throttle Media has taken time out of his busy schedule to join two rinky dink guys from Pennsylvania just let's talk about NASCAR. So I'm looking forward to having Tyler on the show. Like I said, it'll be in a couple minutes as we get situated on tonight. But Jake, Iowa this past weekend, pretty entertaining race. We'll be talking a lot about that as well. And then, of course, we got some hot topics coming out of Iowa. We're going to be giving away some Watkins Glen picks. We, my friend, are 3 races away from the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. I'm looking forward to it. How about you?
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. It's been a long season. It's been a great racing season, actually. But sad to see it coming to an end. But also really pumped for these playoffs. I think it's going to be a really, really, really good playoffs this year.
I do too. I still don't think the playoff field is set totally completely in my personal
I don't
opinion.
either. I don't either.
I
I
think
think you at least see one more new winner.
it's funny because this past weekend in Iowa, I thought we were going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about him in a minute, or we'll talk about him when we start talking about Iowa. But yeah, I mean, I do think that the playoff field is not fully set yet. I think we're going to get maybe. I think honestly, I think we get 2 more winners in the Cup Series going into the playoffs. Yeah, again, sorry folks for that delay. Yeah, I think we get 2 more drivers that are probably going to win their way into the 2025 playoffs. There's some drivers on the bubble, in my personal opinion, that probably the seat's starting to get hot. Let's just say that. Tyler
Yeah.
Reddick, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman. I think one of them ends up going home in this playoff format, in this playoff field before the playoffs start. We had a driver this past weekend, like I said, with Brad Keselowski,
Mm-hmm.
who flashed a lot of speed. But again, we'll talk about Brad in a little minute or in a couple minutes. Like I said, tonight's show is going to be headlined by our special guest a little bit with Tyler Summerfield. He'll be joining us in a few minutes. Bear with us. As well as always, if you're listening to us live on air, Blown Engine chat line wide open. Feel free to comment, send your concerns. Let us be the voice of reasoning of your favorite driver who struggled maybe this past week in Iowa. Maybe you want to bitch about the aerodynamics of the car. Maybe you want to bitch about the gas and the fuel mileage because it's all a driver basically run away with it. Or if you want to just bitch about NBC Sports's gas numbers, in my opinion, which were kind of bullshit, chime on in. Again, if you like following us and like listening to us, we are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook on the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast Facebook page. We are also live on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Spotify. So, Jake, like I said, our guest will be coming in shortly. Before I guess he comes on, let's get into some fast headliners real quick. Let me pull them up. So again, all fast headliners courtesy of jski.com. Follow them on web, www.jski.com, or on Facebook or X, again, jski.com. First headliner this week, coming into Watkins Glen, Austin Hill. We kind of briefed on him a little bit last week in regards to that disastrous thing that he did to Eric Almirola at the Brickyard. He was suspended for the race. There is an update to that. Eric Almirola, Austin Hill will be granted a playoff waiver in the Xfinity Series playoffs, and he is docked all playoff points. So he's going into the playoffs with 0 points. So again, if you're following that story coming out of the Brickyard, that's what ended up happening with Austin Hill. Update number 2, Sugarlands Field and Stream sponsoring Ty Dillon at Las Vegas in the fall playoff race. Third update this week, Cody Ware will have a new sponsorship. He will be promoting Evil Knievel Museum this week at Watkins Glen. So, again, those are the fast headliners coming out of Iowa and going into Watkins Glen. And, folks, our guest has arrived on air. We will be letting him in onto the show. And, again, if you have any questions for him, feel free to text us on the Balloon Engine chat line. And there's the man of the hour.
What's going on, guys?
How are you, Tyler? And again, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us this evening on the Broken Wheel Bearing podcast. Super happy to have you. First of all, I can't congratulate you enough with 15,000 followers on Full Throttle Media, man. You've done absolutely an incredible job and incredible work over at that on your website and everything. Happy to have you. Break it down a little bit. What got you into NASCAR media?
So kind of started with like a fantasy football. I would do like some weekly roasts for the guys. Just made a website all just as a hobby, and then moved to Mooresville a couple years ago, and just decided let's give this a shot. My wife was like, "Hey, you do really good like writing, so let's see what."
There it is.
Started my own, and here we are.
So, did you ever think that it was going to get this big?
No. I was like, you get your friends and family to follow, and that's it. And then it just kind of took off, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And like I said, again, Tyler Summerfield, Full Throttle Media with us on the Broken Wheel Bearing podcast. Thanks again for joining us live tonight on our episode. Follow him if you're listening to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow him if you have not already at Full Throttle Media. Again, he's on Facebook. What other sources are you on?
That's really it. I don't have time for the other ones,
I don't think any of us do, honestly. And honestly, with the way X is and Twitter, I don't even know what to call it half the time. Jake sits there and laughs at me. He's like, "Oh, we're on Twitter." No, we're not. We're on X. So
right.
So Tyler, something that was interesting that came out last week in NASCAR. Chicago Street Course it will no longer be part of the 2026 schedule, but we'll be heading to San Diego. The video promotion that NASCAR's done for that race, honestly, incredible work by their PR department. But is that the full, like the on the video they showed like the map? Is that the full circuit of what they're going to be racing at San Diego, or are they going to be switching things up? You think?
I'm not sure. I did see something that it was going to be like a 2-mile, maybe 3-mile course. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to like be like in. I couldn't imagine it would go around like the houses because, not everybody is going to be a fan of that. So
hence why we have not gotten the Nashville Fairgrounds back. Let's call it as is. So I guess we should just lock in Shane Van Gisbergen for next year's win anyways, right?
Right.
So with that being said, like I said, the Chicago Street Course won't be on the 2026 calendar year. Do you think NASCAR does return to Chicago for the Street Course?
I would like them to. It rained, 2 to 3 years, so they didn't get a fair shot. And this year, I thought it was a pretty good race for road course, whatever you want to say with this car. Like, I thought it was an entertaining race.
I did too. And I mean, now granted, this past season, and like you said, the first 2 years it rained. We saw kind of like, oh, here comes the rain, all that type of stuff. Shane Van Gisbergen kind of ran away with it in year one, hence why he's with Trackhouse now. I thought this past season, though, if McDowell does not have an issue, I think McDowell would have given Shane Van Gisbergen a run for his money on that street course.
Yeah, for sure.
So with Chicago, it seems like NASCAR wants to stay in the Chicago market. And there's, again, now with the San Diego Street Course going into like that Father's Day weekend, is Chicagoland in play for NASCAR to go back to? And is that confirmed? Do you know?
I haven't seen that it's confirmed, but a lot of rumors about them going there. It's going to need some work. It's been sitting there for a couple years, but they fixed North Wilkesboro in like no time, so it's not like they don't have the money. So
maybe we need Dale Jr. out there to help fix the track.
right.
It seems like he's the only one that can get things going and all that type of stuff. Jake and I last week we talked about the Chicago and returning possibly in 2026. I said, I guess what is old is new again. How do you foresee these next generation cars racing at Chicagoland? Do you expect a Kansas type race or a Las Vegas type race, or do you think maybe a little bit better?
I would say I feel the way it did race that it would probably be close to like what Fontana was, and they took that away. So I would hope for that.
Yeah, Fontana, when I was younger, I didn't really care for the track. As I got older, especially in the later years of like the late 2010s, 2020s, I thought Fontana turned out to be a pretty good track as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be exciting if Chicagoland can turn into something like that as well. So, Tyler, there was a couple rumors, or not rumors, but it was confirmed a couple weeks ago. Daniel Suarez is not going to be with Trackhouse Racing. Have you heard anything about possibly Daniel Suarez going to another team in the Cup Series, or do you think that maybe his best bet would be going back to the Xfinity Series?
I haven't heard anything. I've really not had time to look into that for him. If I had to guess, I would say he'll probably end up with like Junior Motorsports. Probably that's where I feel like he would, because I would assume a couple seats are probably going to come open there.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, right? With Zillage possibly coming up next year, who I'm trying to think. Allgaier is probably going to be a staple in the Xfinity Series. Carson Kvapil, I don't personally, for me, I didn't think I saw enough from him in the Xfinity Series to even remotely call him up to the Cup Series. But I mean, that's probably your best bet, like you said, him going back down to Junior Motorsports. Jake, I know you had a question for Tyler as well.
Yeah, I was also wondering, going off that Daniel Suarez, has Trackhouse said anything about who they might think is going to fulfill that position? I know we've heard Connor Zillage's name all over the place, but I'm assuming they're not going to come out with somebody immediately.
Right. My guess is probably Zillage as well. I mean, I haven't looked into it too much, but I'm saying that's going to be, which is kind of strange that they would want two guys that are quote unquote road course guys, but they win, so why not?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I mean, like you said, you got two road course guys, Shane Van Gisbergen, and clearly we know he's probably going to be the heavy favorite this weekend at Watkins Glen. But yeah, I mean, Connor Zilisch, like you said, he wins a lot on road courses. But then I've always said this, and with Ross Chastain, I always felt like for Trackhouse to win a championship, I feel like Ross Chastain's that best bet at this moment. Would you
for
disagree?
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I got this down on my notes real quick. One last question for you, Tyler. And again, Tyler Summerfield with us on the Broken Wheel Bearing podcast this evening as our special guest. Again, once again, appreciate your time and being able to join us. Follow him at Full Throttle Media on Facebook. He does a hell of a job with a bunch of stuff with the media. And again, you've reached 15,000 followers. Incredible work by you, sir. We're coming through the summer stretch now, or coming close to the end of the summer stretch, excuse me. 3 races left in the playoffs. We got a couple guys on the bubble. Who do you think, A, we're going to have a new winner in the next 3 races, and 2, we have Bowman, Buescher, and Reddick on the bubble. Do one of those guys miss the playoffs?
Probably. I would. I mean, Buescher won, Watkins Glen last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good race at the end, but I've probably see like Zillage or SVG this weekend. I mean, Daytona, anybody can win there. So I would like to see Kyle Busch get in, but
I know last week on the show when you checked into the Blown Engine chat line, you basically said he's like Kyle Busch walk-off win at Daytona. I think honestly, I got one more question for you about Kyle Busch. But I think the whole crowd at this point, the whole fan base is just rooting for him to get in the victory lane.
Yeah, for sure.
If Kyle...
I've been rooting for him all year.
Yeah.
I'm not even a fan of him.
In regards to Kyle Busch, you just brought him up. Listen, let's call it as this. This is the worst slump he's ever been in his career. We talked about him winning at Daytona, possibly.
Right.
Now, if he does get into the playoffs, how far do you think he could make it?
Probably just the way that the format works, and he would be probably with 5 points because I don't see him winning a stage. Maybe the first round, just because there's a couple good tracks in there for him. But other than that, I mean, hey, if he wins, you never know. He might pull off a couple. So you never know.
That's true, right? I mean, well, you got Daytona, and then the first playoff race is Darlington in the second round or first round. And you saw he almost pulled it off last year.
Yeah,
I just
back-to-back weeks. Man,
it's funny because it's just like again, RCR equipment. It's amazing how bad they have been since Kevin Harvick has left. And yes, they've had a couple runs. Like Ryan Newman got close to the championship in 2014. Newman won a race. Austin Dillon won a couple. Tyler Reddick won a couple. But it's like the gradual decline we have seen with RCR. It's like, damn, if we just got prime Kyle Busch and RCR equipment, man, I think the whole field probably been amped and the fan base would have been excited about that. So
yeah, for sure.
Stop putting all your money into Austin Dillon. Maybe you'd see a win or two.
Right, for sure.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, at this point, like, why? I mean, I get it. Austin Dillon is the grandson. I get that part. But, like, what does RCR even see with Austin Dillon?
You just named it. Grandson.
Grandson. Jake, any other question for Tyler this evening?
No, I think you touched on all of them, basically.
Yeah, Tyler, once again, it was an absolute pleasure to have you this evening and this nice interview with you as well. Again, Full Throttle Media, folks, on Facebook. Follow him. He does an outstanding job on everything. Again, we are going to cheer for you, my man. 15,000 followers. I don't think people... I don't think people understand how difficult it is, especially like, and we know it as well. Like, I mean, NASCAR, obviously everyone complains about the fan base and like, oh, it's starting to die. But you get 15,000 followers, man, that is absolutely incredible. Hopefully this interview gets you more. And again, we really appreciate your time this evening.
Yes,
I appreciate you guys.
All right, man. Have a good one. Oh, also, by the way, that fantasy league, if you need somebody, just shoot me a text.
I got you. I will.
Again, folks, that was Tyler.
One more question for you. Yeah, what's up? Did you see Larson? I assume it was recent because I just saw it. Him on Julian Edelman and Gronk's podcast talking about, the Ricky Bobby movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just saw that.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel that same way about that movie? Like, do you feel it did more damage than
I don't think it did anything good.
So it's actually interesting that you brought that up, Tyler, and that's a great question for us. And obviously I want to get your opinion as well. I have a couple friends that are F1 fans. They love Formula One, and they even said that Talladega Nights absolutely destroyed Formula One for the longest time because they thought it was a mockery of what obviously was done in that movie. In regards to NASCAR, I felt like NASCAR was an untouchable asset for the longest time in that decade, but I don't know if it really dented the fan base. I think the recession dented the fan base more than anything with like the sponsorship starting to pull out. Right. I don't know if the movie itself, I mean, the timing of the movie couldn't have been worse because it started going on the decline. Right. But listen, it's one of my favorite NASCAR movies of all time. I'm not going to complain about it whatsoever. But yeah, it was funny that you brought it up. And then obviously I want to hear your opinion, Tyler, for this one.
I think it probably did more damage than good in all honesty. It's just every like stereotype that just shouldn't be for NASCAR, and it sucks that NASCAR to anybody who doesn't enjoy the sport is just a redneck making left turns, and I have friends that just don't care anything about it. I've tried to get them to come to just one race. I'm like, give it one chance. Let me take you to Talladega. And then if you don't like it, that's on you. But they won't because of that movie. And I feel like the Drive to Survive is kind of almost Talladega Nights now for F1. Like, it's just so scripted, and like once you actually watch F1, you see that like none of that happens, and a lot of that's like just a lot of BS.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously we're from Pennsylvania. We're out of basically the Philadelphia market, so it's tough. Kind of going what you were saying with like having friends that like take them to the track. Jake and I both have a bunch of friends that are like, just go to one race, just try it. And every year at Pocono, I always try to bring one fan with us that's brand new to the sport, has never been to a race, just to see what if they like it or not. And Jake, I think every year we've taken somebody new. They're like, dude, that is the most incredible thing I've ever watched in my entire life. So it does suck because it's like you're trying to get people back to the track. You're trying to get people to the race and all that type of stuff, but it's tough because it's like they don't want to give it an opportunity. And that's why, kind of going back to our first couple questions about San Diego, Chicago street course, that's why I was all in favor with NASCAR doing this type of move. You know what? You don't want to come to the track? We'll bring the track to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Tyler, before you leave, we had Ian. He checked in. He actually brought up two interesting points here. The first one, I'm going to post it up for our fans listening to us live on YouTube and Facebook. Ian checked in. He said RCR keeps Austin Dillon around because of family. The Bass Pro Shop sponsorship and relationship with Johnny Morris is a big part of the team. Could not agree anymore with him.
Yeah, for sure.
The second thing Ian brought up as well in the chat line, again, thank you, Ian, for checking in with us. He goes, NASCAR's downfall started when the sport stopped listening to diehard fans and chase markets that would never care about the sport. So that, I guess, before I let you go, Tyler, Ian brought up a really good point or interesting point there. We do have a lot of diehard fans that do talk about that NASCAR's expansion is what killed them.
Yeah. Part of me feels that they should listen to, the diehards, but, they did Bowman Gray, they did North Wilkesboro. Like, they are, just because it's not in your backyard doesn't mean that they're not going back to, like, the diehard grassroots places, in my opinion. But the average NASCAR fan is also, I would say, on the older side. I don't have the exact statistics, but from what I see, like, through my page, most of them are much older, and I have no problem with them trying to expand to get some younger, because F1 is doing fairly good in the younger, age.
Agreed.
So NASCAR has to do something. So taking it to a place like LA, Chicago, I mean, yeah, at first it's like, oh, that doesn't sound like a good idea because, whatever you want to think about those places. But, I mean, no one got robbed. No one, nothing bad happened to where everybody's like, oh, they're going to have, this happened and this happened. Like, none of that happened. So.
Well, how about when they announced Mexico City? What there was so many fan base, and you see it with the Facebook pages. Jake and I see it with the Facebook pages. Oh, the cartels are going to rob the cars and all that type of stuff. Like it didn't happen. Now, granted, they're not going back there next year, but I think that's
I would like to see them go back there again. Though that was a really good race, I thought.
I thought the track was very visually beautiful in the eyes. I thought it was a very, very, very like sexy look. I think that I did love the stadium, like how they turned basically in the stadium. Now I do know a lot of fans complained because SVG basically ran away with the course. Now, granted, when your best friend's Max Verstappen, I'm sorry, you kind of have an inside scoop on how to run the course.
Right.
But I agree with you. I would love to see Mexico City. Now, like if Mexico City is not like an every year thing, I would like Mexico City probably to do like a rotational, like, maybe every other year type of deal. But yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Tyler. I like the expansion into the markets, like the LA Coliseum. I thought was a very clever idea. I thought that was very interesting. We didn't have this, let's call it as this. Fontana was done in 2023. We didn't have the Southern California market in 2024. That was their only race.
Yep.
And I guess like in regards to the expansion, right? Because the big expansion in NASCAR was probably late 90s when we started removing ourselves from North Wilkesboro, Rockingham. We went to tracks like Chicagoland. We went to tracks like Las Vegas. Yeah, some of them became cookie cutters. It got old real fast and all that type of stuff. But hey, you know what? Like you said, we had to do something to expand to a younger demographic. And as you said, I love our older fan base. I always do. Sometimes they get false rumors on Facebook. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, like, yes, and I do believe personally, North Wilkesboro is back under two reasons. Dale Jr., I think it was to appeal to the older fan base.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, we do have one more chat come in on the Blown Engine chat line. This one comes from Jack. He goes, "Does the younger generation want more road courses?"
From what I've seen, uh, it doesn't feel like it. If it feels like people, so I mean, you've seen it too. When we only used to do 2 road courses, everybody's like, we need more road courses. Then we add a couple more, and now we do too many just because SVG is what it feels like. But what do we do? 6 out of 36? Like, I'm fine with that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they took away, the Reds or Braves. One of them lost a home game for that Bristol Speedway Classic game. And,
Yeah.
I mean, baseball has way more, but still, you have 80 some home games. They took away one. It's kind of like the same thing. You still have 30 weeks of your cookie cutter tracks or super speedways, which I'm not a fan of, honestly, right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I would rather
No.
see more road courses than super speedways. So
That's an interesting viewpoint there. In regards to road courses, Jake, I'm going to pass the mic to you. In regards to road courses, would you rather have more road courses, or would you want more road courses on the schedule or less?
I'm the complete opposite of Tyler. I hate road courses. Grew up in an old style, an old freaking NASCAR family. That's all they watch was NASCAR. Yeah, I don't like road courses at all. I think they're
That's-
cool. I think they're cool. I think it when you're watching ovals every weekend. I mean, I love it, but some people are like, "Oh, a little bit of a difference. That's cool." I mean, I think it's good to have a little bit of a difference, make guys turn right for once, but I don't need 6. I can go back to just 2.
Okay.
100%.
So, all right. So Tyler,
Sonoma and Coda. That's all I want.
So Tyler said 6, Jake said 4 or 2. I'm gonna go meet you guys halfway, just like the Black Eyed Peas. I'm gonna go 4. I would like 4 road courses on the schedule. I love Watkins Glen. I love
Yep.
Sonoma. Always classic, traditional. I love what Coda has become now. Not on the full circuit, but I do like that they condensed the circuit. I thought it made the racing a lot more entertaining, more passing zones in that track. And then for me, I do want them on a street course. I want
for
one.
sure.
I got the taste of it, and now I want to see them on it every single year.
Yeah.
But
I could do 4. That seems fair. Those 3 and one road course or one street course, whether you want to swap it out to wherever each year. Like, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, make it like almost like a national. Make it like a national event. Go to different cities. I've been banging the table for that for years. So, Tyler, once again, thank you so much for joining us this evening on the Broken Wheel Bearing podcast. Again, if you have not followed him yet, Tyler Summerfield, Full Throttle Media. He is on Facebook and he does absolutely incredible work. If you're a big NASCAR fan, definitely follow his Facebook page. Again, Tyler, once again, appreciate your time. Stay warm down there. I know North Carolina got a little cold, you said.
Oh yeah, it was rainy again today, and I'm cold.
Again, if you ever want to visit Pennsylvania in the winter, we'll show you real cold. Again, folks, Tyler Summerfield, thanks again, brother.
Thank you.
All right. So, again, Tyler Summerfield joining us this evening from Full Throttle Media. That was a lot of fun with him.
Yeah.
Some really interesting viewpoints, hopefully, for our fans listening to us live on YouTube and Facebook. Again, if we'll continue beating the table. If you have not followed him yet, Tyler Summerfield at Full Throttle Media. Just type in Full Throttle Media on Facebook. Great follow. I actually use some of his information as well when we do our podcast notes. So it was great to have him on air. Before we get to Iowa, we'll transition to Iowa in a second, but Jack did check in again in regards to the road course conversation. He says, I say 2, Watkins Glen and Sonoma. So, Jake, he's kind of fallen in your bucket there with road courses.
I'm like what you said. I used to be a Watkins. I'm still a Watkins Glen fan, but Coda's kind of kicked that one. How it's been recently, how Coda has, like you said, transitioned. I've really fallen in love with that road course. And Sonoma is Sonoma. You can't not pick Sonoma.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you stay classic with Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and then for me, Coda short circuit. Don't go all the way up to hairpin. Call it a day. Short circuit it, and then I again, once I got the taste of the street course and the visualization of those cities, I cannot never, ever, ever go back to not doing a street course again?
No, I mean, I think they're cool. I think it gets people interested, especially if they do a different one every year. People are like, "Oh, I want to watch this. I want to watch this." I think it keeps the viewerships up. Chicago put me a sour taste, so I'm gonna give it one more shot with San Diego. We'll see. I didn't like Chicago. I didn't like Chicago street course, so
Yeah. So, Jake, we're going to transition into Iowa now, our Iowa Corn 350. But before we get into that, Darren checked in on our Brolin Engine chat line, and he said Bubba's the man. Darren, thank you very much for checking in. We'll be talking about Bubba probably in a little bit, so don't worry about that. Let's start off with Iowa. What do you think this past weekend?
I love Iowa. I love that race. I think it was a great race. I think it was exactly how I expected it to be. Kind of same thing that happened a few weeks ago when I thought my guy was going to do good and ended up, I don't know what happened. So then I was kind of like, fuck it. I ain't watching you no more. I'm watching this full race. And I was like, damn, another great fucking race. Huge round of applause of William Byron. It's so, when if it ain't him, I want a Hendrick car. And he raced great. Elliott raced good. Bowman was there for a little bit. But yeah, no, it was an all around great Sunday. I enjoyed watching it. Like I said, I missed some of it, but caught the end. Never again am I ever believing anything that they put on the TV that tells you how much fuel they have left, because it's bullshit. It's fucking wrong. But no, yeah, like I said, great Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa, to me, when they first announced that Iowa was coming on the schedule in 2024, I was like, okay, it's going to be fast Richmond, probably going to race just like Richmond, whatever. The track was built by, basically, Rusty Wallace is the one that kind of designed it to be exactly like Richmond. When they say it's the fastest 3/4 mile track on the circuit, it definitely is.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I really like about Iowa that I think that I don't want them to repave it. I really don't.
No.
I would love for them to keep it patched up like it is. Because it brings out different strategies within this race. Now, you touched on it. In regards to fuel mileage, kind of a joke by NBC, but I think NBC was basically doing the fuel mileage based off if there was cautions and all that type of stuff. In regards to tire wear, though, I mean, we did see a lot of tire wear, have issues within this race. And a couple drivers struggled with it. But it came back down to fuel mileage. If you didn't need fuel, you were not coming down pit road. And damn, it sucks because there's so many things that could have came away from this weekend, right? Obviously, William Byron wins the race. That kind of becomes now our center of topic of conversation on tonight's show. But then when I look at a guy like Brad Keselowski, damn it, guys. He was so close again.
I was rooting for him.
Damn. I was so mad that Brad did not put that car in victory lane. I really was. But before we get into Brad Keselowski, William Byron discussions, final stat line courtesy of NASCAR.com from Iowa Corn 350 this past Sunday. William Byron was your race winner. Chase Briscoe finished second. Brad Keselowski finished third. Ryan Blaney finished fourth. Ryan Preece finished fifth. Bubba Wallace finished sixth. So, Darren, if you're listening to us, your Bubba's the man. There's your Bubba shout-out. Alex Bowman finished seventh. Carson Hocevar finished eighth. Joey Logano finished ninth. And Austin Dillon actually had a nice day, finishing in the top 10. Final stage one. Brad Keselowski won the stage. Followed up by Austin Cindric, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Larson, Carson Hocevar, Chase Elliott, AJ Allmendinger, and Justin Haley. Your stage two, Brad Keselowski ended up winning that stage as well, followed up by Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch, Josh Berry, Alex Bowman, Eric Jones, Ryan Preece, and Austin Dillon. Your final lap slide coming out of Iowa this past week, William Byron, he led a race high of 141 laps, followed up by Chase Briscoe, who had 81. Brad Keselowski finished off with 68 laps led. Ryan Blaney finished with 29. Then you had Austin Cindric lead 20. Chase Elliott led 11 laps. So those were all the laps led in this race. So first up on the board, like you said, William Byron, you were a fan of the win this past weekend. Obviously, you're a Hendrick guy, a Chevrolet guy. William Byron, to me, Jake, pulled off one of the I don't even know how to describe it. It was almost like a unicorn fuel strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, William Byron probably needed this win more than anybody. He was leading the points for a while. Chase Elliott took the points lead. Now William Byron's back in the lead. William Byron at this point has been nearly an almost race minus the last 5 weeks. Rudy Fugle, I don't know how they packed that car. They ended up going in this race. They ended up going 144 laps between pit stops. The last time he pitted was on lap 206 and ended up going 144 laps for the victory. And as you said, NBC kept talking about it. They're like, he's going to run out of fuel. He's going to run out of fuel. He's going to run out of fuel. Jake, he probably would have ran 5 more laps if the race went under caution because he had enough to do burnouts and go in the victory lane. It was almost a unicorn strategy for a team, on my personal opinion, that was desperate with the way this summer has gone for him to get that car in the victory lane.
Oh, they were going all for it. And you could just tell by their strategy. They were not pitting. They even came on the radio, we're going until we run out. And another thing that I don't know if people were really watching when they were showing on there, his throttle response and how he was riding at the end of the race, no throttle in the turns, half throttle down the straightaways for 10 laps. And guys behind him who had more fuel than him weren't even catching him.
No.
Which is crazy to think. I mean, you also got to put in factor that there was a car everywhere around the racetrack. So, I mean, that factors in a lot. But still, you have guys going wide open on the back straightaway. He's doing half throttle, no throttle into the turns till he's out of the turn, and half throttle. And they still couldn't catch him. That's phenomenal racing to me. That's a guy who knows what the hell he's doing and is very knowledgeable. That's what was my favorite part of that race, watching that at the end, him racing that car like that, and the guys behind him couldn't even catch him.
Very strategic, right? Very strategic. Like you said, I mean, he kept putting the car in half throttle, was never really in full throttle to try to reserve as much or as much gas as he could in this race. But like you said, I mean, when you had Briscoe and then Keselowski, I think they cut the lead down to close to, I think it was 1.4 seconds, I think at one point, and then it expanded. But again, I mean, you know, you look at these drivers and they had the fuel to make the full distance according to the NBC charts. William Byron did not. I mean, they said 3% fuel left in the tank with what, 20 to go?
Mm-hmm.
And again, when you know, for him to manage that car, and I think that's what was so unique about Iowa this year. You had to manage the strategy correctly. You needed to, I mean, again, credit to where credit's due. That pit stall or that pit crew, they packed the car enough to get that car into victory lane. I mean, 144 laps, folks. I get it. It's a 3/4 of a mile track, but 144 laps is, I mean, if I'm a crew chief right now, I'm looking at what William Byron pulled at Iowa and going, how do I do that? How do I replicate that at Richmond?
Yeah.
How do I replicate that at Richmond? Now, again, Richmond is a little bit more of a different track, but at the same time, like in regards to fuel, I mean, it's probably the same fuel distance as anything.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I mean, yeah, job well done. And like I said, this was a team, Jake, since the Coke 600, when he finished second to Ross Chastain, he basically dominated the Coke 600 that night. He finished second to Chastain, finished fifth in Nashville. Now, this is where it got really interesting. Michigan, he runs out of gas, finished 28th. 9th at Mexico City. Then he finishes 27th at Pocono, 37th at Atlanta, 40th at the Chicago Street Course, 8th at Sonoma, 32nd at Dover, 16th at Indy, and 1st at Iowa. So when you look at what the 24 has been able to accomplish this year, yeah, he's had races where he completely has blown the doors off. Darlington, it comes first race that comes to my mind. Basically almost led every single lap. Unfortunate caution ended up putting him, ended up finishing second in that race. Now, granted, he also lost spots on pit road. And then when I look at Charlotte, I mean, again, the Coke 600 completely dominated, finishes second. We look at William Byron and we're like, wow, this guy's been having a really good season. Though almost nearly the last 11 weeks out, I mean, take Charlotte and Nashville away, it's been not really a smooth sailing for that 24 team. So this to me was a much needed win for William Byron. As we head into the final 3 races, now he gets win number 2 of 2025. Regains the points lead, by the way, over his teammate Chase Elliott, which at the end of the season wins the regular season points. He ends up getting 5 more playoff, or 10, I believe. 10
15.
15, I'm sorry. I'm really off. Sorry. The 15 playoff points there. I mean, could the 24, manage his way into the championship four? And at this point, it's not an if he can, will he break through that gap and punch his ticket into victory lane when we get into Phoenix? So that's going to be something to keep an eye on myself, Jake, as we head into that, into that stretch.
Maybe you get into the playoffs and he gets that 15 points. There's a lot of tracks that favor him in the playoffs.
What started off Darlington.
Yes.
I mean, back in the spring, literally led nearly almost every single lap, and we raced there round one.
And he wins that race. He's just got to, if you're willing, top 10 for the rest of the first round. Get a comfortable lead.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? You got Darlington, then you got Gateway, and then you got Bristol. That's the first round. Then you have New Hampshire, Kansas, and the Roval in the second round. Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville, and then you got Phoenix. I mean, he's won at some of these tracks before. I personally believe that I still think if William Byron can get one more win before the playoffs start, that might be a really heavy favorite going into the playoffs. So we just talked about William Byron and his immaculate fuel strategy. A driver this weekend, to me, that was just bat fast, offloaded, very fast from start to finish in practice, qualifying, and the race. Brad Keselowski. Yes, my face, folks. If you're watching us live, my face is I'm disgusted, man. What can he do more to buy himself a win at this point, man?
And they also adjusted that car because did you see that did you see the tires after the first pit stall? He was showing cords.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Brad, to me, had a phenomenal race weekend. And right now, the 6 of Brad Keselowski is starting to – I mean, it's a damn shame because the beginning of the season was so disastrous. His first top 10, folks, was a 5th-place finish at the Coke 600. That's 12 races into the season. That's his first top 10. But since the Coke 600, I don't know what this 6 team has found. They have their struggles, don't get me wrong, on the road courses and all that type of stuff. But at the same time, Brad, since Charlotte, has had he finished 10th at Michigan. He finished 9th at Pocono, 2nd at Atlanta, almost won that race. Chase Elliott made an amazing pass at the end. Then he finished 10th at Dover, 5th at Indy, and 3rd at Iowa. Unfortunate circumstances with how bad the season started. But since Charlotte, he's got a 12.7 average finish. If a couple of those races early in the season go into like top 10s and not like 30th or worse than 25th, Brad right now, I mean, he's up to 19th in the point standings. We could be talking about Brad Keselowski possibly getting into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I still think that a win, he still no matter what, he still needs to win a race.
I don't think he gets enough points.
No, because I think his teammate Buescher, I think Alex Bowman, and I think Reddick's way above him, and I think the other 3. And listen, I mean, it stinks because it's like we look at with like Shane Van Gisbergen winning multiple races. Josh Berry won a race earlier this year. Austin Cindric won a race. Those 3 alone are going to end up knocking out some good drivers. Brad, unfortunately, if he does not get it done at Richmond or Daytona, because let's call it as is, he's not getting it done at Watkins Glen. But if he can get it done at Richmond or Daytona, personally for me, Brad Keselowski, that's the only way to get into the playoffs. That's the only path forward. And it sucks because, like I said, as a stat guy, 12.7 average finish over the last, 11 races. If only he could have done it in the beginning of the season.
And we bashed him in the beginning of the season.
Oh, we did. And, I will say this, and I know we were talking about, William Byron's immaculate pitch strategy and all that type of stuff. Brad had a really, in my personal opinion, I thought Brad had the race winning strategy. I really did. Jeremy Bullins on his last pit stop ended up packing the fuel up as much as he could, ended up putting 4 fresh Goodyear tires on. He ends up flying through the field, but then ended up just getting stalled out in the 3rd place behind Chase Briscoe. But again, who would have ever guessed that William Byron would have went 144 laps for the race victory? Yeah. So, again, Brad's starting to become a driver. You know what? I'm starting to circle that 6 car, and I'm looking at it again. I mean, Watkins Glen, I'm not counting him in. I don't think he has a fighting shot in hell. But when I look at Richmond and I look at Daytona, RFK has done some damage at Richmond. I think they are very underrated at Richmond. We had Buescher win a race there a couple years ago. They usually run top 5, top 10. And I'm going to be honest with you, Daytona, we already know what RFK can do on super speedways.
Yeah. Yeah. I like him at Daytona.
So I guess my question is to you tonight is going to be this. If back in 2023, we had Buescher ended up won the Daytona summer race. Brad Keselowski ended up pushing him in the victory lane.
Mm-hmm.
If Brad's playoff shot is on the line and he has an opportunity like he did back in 2023, do you think Brad makes the pass on Chris Buescher?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I think so too. And I know that Brad's a team player. I know he's
100%. No, yeah, I get it. You're my teammate, but no. Nope. I'm going the way he's been racing. You're going to see him a lot more aggressive. He's gotten aggressive these last few weeks. So,
could you imagine it? Could you imagine him, Priest, and Buescher all 1, 2, and 3 right now going into the white flag at Daytona, and they're all in the playoff bubble?
Well, two of them are going to say, "I'm not going to wreck my boss." The other one's going to say, "Fuck both of you. I'll take you both out."
Oh my God. I can't even imagine the circumstance in that conversation in the garage or in the shop that week going into Daytona. I for RFK's sake, and I'm actually an RFK guy just because I do like what Brad has done with the organization. And like, this is why people always ask me, they're like, why do you like Brad Keselowski so much? And I never did. I was just like, it's Brad, whatever. But Brad Keselowski could have stayed at Penske, retired at the top, one of the best in the sport, maybe been championship contenders for the last 3 years and had it all. But Brad decided, no, I want to be more than that. I want to be an owner.
Mm-hmm.
Ends up going to Roush Fenway Racing, which what's called was basically a glorified museum at that point. Brad comes in, brings in all this innovation, all this technology, all these analytics and all that type of stuff. And look, RFK Racing, to me, they're all three of them are threats. I mean, and it sucks too because I look at a guy like Ryan Preece, who in the beginning of the season, when they announced that Preece was going to the 60, I'm like, what has Ryan Preece done that warrants him these amazing rides?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got one of the most premier seats in the garage, and look what he's done this season. This is a driver that has been extremely consistent all season long. Probably is going to miss the playoffs unless something happens at Richmond or something happens at Daytona. I don't see him getting it done at Watkins Glen either. But at the same time, it's like RFK Racing has taken themselves to the next level. And I keep looking at how great that this organization has continued reaching these new heights. But at the same time, you may actually have all three of these guys out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay. Topic number 3 coming out of Iowa. Bubba Wallace this past week. Folks, if you didn't realize, Bubba Wallace broke a toe link in this race.
He did.
Broke a toe link. They got the car back out there and ended up finishing 6th at Iowa. That is remarkable work done by his pit crew, not just his pit crew, but himself. Last week we talked a lot about Bubba Wallace with the Brickyard and like, hey, maybe it's the monkey off his back, all that type of stuff. The weight's lifted, how much more Bubba Wallace can we get? Can we possibly get another win with the 23 car? I would say this past weekend for the 23, that was a massive win. Even though he's locked into the playoffs, Bubba Wallace showed me once again that he can overcome adversity with a broken toe link and still manage to put that car in the top 10. That was a job well done by Bubba Wallace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was.
It was, I mean, for me, I said,
and the team to get that car fixed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is and listen, Jake, and we forgot to ask Tyler this when he was on air with us. This is an organization that's still an open charter, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
They're still an open charter.
That was one of my questions and totally flipped my mind.
We got excited about the Talladega Nights question. That's probably why. But again, when I look at like what Bubba Wallace accomplished, right? He started his race in 15th. Again, I don't know. Maybe his confidence is there, and maybe all it takes is one win. And that's why I continue telling to fans of all these drivers in the sport, all it takes is just one win, and the weight is lifted. And guess what happens? You get that confidence back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this past weekend with William Byron. Well, William Byron was racing well in the spring. Over the summer, he ended up having issues. ends up look what happens. Ends up winning the race. Now we're talking about, well, again, when you put the car in victory lane, how many more wins can you get? How many more? Go for gold. Continue going and get that confidence and the momentum, going your way.
Yep.
Final question, I guess, tonight from Iowa. Any drivers surprise you this past weekend in regards to how bad they did or how good they did?
Kyle Larson for how bad he did. Trying to think how good. I was impressed with Bowman. I mean, it's hard not to say Bubba. I mean, not really a race that I would have thought I would have seen him up there, but race very good. But yeah, my disappointment was Larson 100%.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Kyle Larson, I mean, you think that he probably would have went out there and had maybe a field day. He just never really. I mean, they never offloaded correctly. They weren't good. They just didn't have the speed.
No.
Now, granted, I'm going to jump back to Larson in a minute because we have final topic coming out of Iowa in a second. But one driver that continues to impress me is Carson Hocevar.
Yeah.
Carson Hocevar, to me, he ends up finishing 8th in this race. He started 7th. They all floated. They had tons of speed in practice, tons of speed in qualifying. Managed to keep the car within the top 10. He ended up collecting stage points in both stages, I believe. Give me a second. No, he finished. He only collected stage points in the stage 1. But Carson Hocevar is a guy, and this is when it sucks because it's like when I look at Spire Motorsports, this is an organization that may have a diamond in the rough of Carson Hocevar. And it's like, dude, you guys have to get better in regards to the engineering in this car. This dude and this kid can race and win races if you can just find that next level. And there's been times this season, now granted, like I look at Michigan, right? Ends up wrecking, right? I mean, Charlotte, another Coke 600, he's a top 5 car, ends up wrecking. If they just are able to put that car into the nth degree. Now, I also think it's Hocevar racing the car too hard in some of these instances, like Michigan and Charlotte. He's like Texas is another one. He races the car way too hard because the equipment is just not there to compete at the top tier. That is a Spire problem.
Yes.
That is a Spire Motorsports problem. If they are just able to tune and get that car into the level that can compete. I'm not saying with Hendrick Motorsports yet. I'm not saying with Joe Gibbs Racing. They can just get into the level of a Trackhouse Racing, or if they can get into a level similar to RFK Racing, this is an organization that will find victory lane very quickly. My driver who has disappointed me personally, I was very disappointed with Denny Hamlin this weekend. Very disappointed with Denny Hamlin. We had Denny Hamlin, if you're listening to us live on YouTube and Facebook, we had Denny Hamlin Love Fest the last couple of weeks. We'll, and not Jake. Matt has had Denny Hamlin Love Fest the last 2 weeks. But at the same time, to see what the driver of the 11 did this past weekend, he finished 24th in this race, started 11th. Iowa has just not been good to him the last 2 years. It just hasn't been. And it's really weird because he is good at Richmond. Now, granted, not saying Richmond and Iowa have any translation because they are different. Even though they're built similar, they're different. But like I said, just seeing the driver of the 11 struggle this past weekend, I was a little disappointed in.
Yeah.
So those are my two drivers. That was my driver who was a big surprise, driver who was a disappointment. Jake, I wanted to go back to Kyle Larson with you because what in the hell is going on at Hendrick Motorsports between the 9 and the 5?
I don't know. I'll tell you right now. When I rewatched, I was not happy with what Chase Elliott did, and I think you can agree as a teammate.
I know,
dude.
It's California payback from 2022.
And I get that. And you're not racing a race to help your teammate. I mean, your teammate's your teammate. They're going to help you when they're going to help you. But like Larson said, he is a really good teammate. Larson's not a guy. It's like, oh, do you ever see him go back and fucking door ding fucking Denny Hamlin? No, he's not a payback guy. He's going to get back in. He's going to get his mind focused. He's going to race a race. I mean, was Denny Hamlin making a NASCAR move? Yeah. I just wasn't fond of it. I don't think you should see that or get that from a teammate. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm going to side with Chase Elliott on this one. I'm going to side with Chase Elliott. And I listen. I was listening to Larson's in-car radio with Cliff Daniels, and he's 100% right. He is a very clean driver. He's like, how much room can I leave on the track for these people? Now, where I defend Chase Elliott on this is because the track surface is very narrow. You're trying to fit a car in there. You're on better tires. You're on better tires. Let's just call it as is. And yes, what happened in Fontana should not translate to Iowa. That was nearly 3 years. That was over 3.5 years ago. You got to let it go. But at the same time, this Chase Elliott, what we're seeing is an aggressive Chase Elliott.
No, he was being aggressive.
We have not seen this type of Chase Elliott in a very long time, or probably ever in his career. And if you have an opportunity to make a move, you got to go for it. Now, yes, did it come at the cost of your teammate? Sure, it did. But at the same time, when I look at the 5 and the 9, it's similar to what Hendrick Motorsports had back in the early 2010s with Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. Both of them had issues with each other. They both had problems with each other. But at the same time, at the end of the day, that's being an elite race car driver like Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson are. Things like this are going to happen. Things like this are going to happen. And again, I'm not pointing the finger at Kyle Larson saying, oh, you deserve that from Fontana a couple years ago. But there have been times where Kyle Watkins Glen 2022.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times that Kyle Larson has got the, it has won that other side of the battle. Now, this time, Chase Elliott, Mr. I don't get into trouble, did this. And all of a sudden, it's like, how dare him do this, But at the same time.
No, I see your point there.
You're on better tires. That's the only reason why I'm siding with Chase Elliott. You're on better tires. And again, Kyle Larson is one of the cleanest drivers in the sport. It just so happened to be his teammate. Now, granted, I don't think you and I are having this conversation tonight. If this is Carson Hocevar or Kyle Larson, or if this is Justin Haley, Kyle Larson, or Eric Jones and Kyle Larson, it's a totally different conversation because it was two teammates.
And I guarantee you those two talked about it after the race. Kyle Larson isn't a fucking Bubba Wallace who's going to run down to the infield and shove him into his fucking car. They're going to talk about it like fucking men, not be a fucking baby about it. But no, and they're also really good buddies off the track. I mean, I think it was a NASCAR move. It is what it is. I mean, you move on. Larson isn't a guy who hold grudges, and I guarantee you Chase Elliott didn't do it on purpose to be like, oh, I'm going to just fuck you. I'm just going to fucking bump you out of here. I don't think he was like, oh, look, it's Kyle Larson. Fuck you. Just he made a NASCAR move. He's trying to move up in the race. I mean, I totally get it. I totally understand it. If it was Larson doing it to him, I would feel the same way.
Well,
I would be defending Elliott.
Well, it is funny. I was gonna say it is funny because I follow both those fan groups, Facebook pages and Twitter pages, or X, whatever it's called. God, I keep saying Twitter. I follow both of them. Chase Elliott fans complained that Kyle Larson once again pulled 30 stunts on him, and then vice versa. Kyle Larson's fan base is like, "How dare the 9 and the Golden Child get away with that?" So it's like, guys, it happens. It just happens. They're teammates. It's okay.
Yeah. It was a racing.
Yeah, it's a racing move. So
they're gonna. They probably already forgot about it. Probably fucking like fuck it.
Move on.
Yep.
Move on. We're going to Watkins Glen. They'll probably wreck each other at Watkins Glen. Call it a day.
They're both good there. So
yeah. Couple messages came in on the Blowing Engine chat line. First one again. Jack checks in. Legacy Motorsports both did well this past weekend, and yeah, they did.
They did.
Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, 15th and 16th. I'm going to tell you right now, and I said this, Jake, in the beginning of the season. I don't expect at all Legacy to win a race this year. Now, they may at Daytona. I don't know where they're at as an organization. And Daytona's just luck. It's Russian roulette. It's Russian roulette. But the one thing I said in the beginning of the season was Legacy Motor Club, I expected them not to win and compete for races, but I expected them to get much better in the season, right? And both these drivers of Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter Nemechek nearly made the round. He made it to the round of 4 in the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
John Hunter Nemechek has actually been pretty, I would say, pretty good so far in 2025. And Eric Jones is not too far behind him. Right now, John Hunter Nemechek in the points is 20th in the points. This is an organization that a lot of people forget about. Eric Jones right now sits 24th. So they have definitely elevated their game where they're not the bottom sellers. They're not the bottom of the league or of the sport anymore in the standings. They're starting to get into the high 20s in points. So John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones, yeah, both great days. Once again at Iowa. Let's see what they can do at Daytona. I don't expect anything at Watkins Glen and Richmond. Maybe Daytona, maybe Darlington. Eric Jones is one there.
Yeah, I was going to say Darlington, yeah.
All right, final 2 comments.
We don't got to put them up.
We're going to put them up. Lance checks in. He goes, they should fight it out between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson.
This is a guy who watches the first 3 laps of a race and turns it off. If he even puts it on.
Sorry, that's what I was laughing about when we were talking about legacy. He also checked in again. He said they definitely did not forget about the incident between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. Well, that was great analysis from Lance checking in. Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, final point standings or updated point standings coming out of Iowa going into Watkins Glen this week. Right now, William Byron has regained the points lead. Chase Elliott currently sits 2nd. Kyle Larson sits 3rd. Denny Hamlin's 4th. Christopher Bell's 5th. Tyler Reddick is 6th. Ryan Blaney is 7th. Chase Briscoe is 8th. Alex Bowman's 9th. Bubba Wallace is currently 10th in the points. And 11th is Chris Buescher. 12th is Joey Logano. 13th is Ryan Preece. Ross Chastain is 14th. Kyle Busch is 15th. And Ty Gibbs is 16th. So your first 3 out, again, still are Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, and Ty Gibbs because Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, and Shane Van Gisbergen all won races. So let's do our weekly roundtable real quick. I mean, we're looking at it. Playoff bubble. We got Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, and now we're going to talk about Brad Keselowski. Any of those 5 drivers make it into the playoffs by winning a race this year?
Ryan Preece, maybe Daytona, and Brad. I don't see any of them winning Watkins Glen. And I know you asked off of win. The only person I think that's going to make it in on points is going to be Tyler Reddick. Unless there's not 2 new winners. That's it.
So I actually think there's going to be 2 new winners.
So Tyler Reddick takes that 16th spot if he doesn't win.
Yeah, I think we're going to get 2 new winners this coming up. And I think that this weekend we'll go over our Watkins Glen picks in a second. Don't look now, but that 6 is hot. That 6 is hot. And I do believe that possibly he's going to pull off the win at Richmond.
Yeah.
I think Brad wins at Richmond. And I think RFK does get another car in victory lane. I think Preece ends up winning Daytona. So I'm going to go Brad K, Ryan Preece, 2 RFK drivers. They're going to win the final 2 races of the regular season. I think Preece and I believe Brad K both make the playoffs. I think that leaves Bowman, and that will also leave Chris Buescher out of the playoffs, which would suck again with Buescher. Yeah, I mean, God, it's 2 years in a row, dude. But I could also see, I think RFK. I think we're all coming to the point now. I think we can all see RFK win in Daytona.
Yeah,
I think we're really strong-handed that one of those RFK cars are going to win Daytona. Richmond's the outlier because I do think that RFK does have the equipment to win Richmond. But yeah, I do think that Reddick at this point is secure with points. I think that unless we get 3 new winners, which I don't believe that's going to happen.
No,
because I don't think we're going to get one on the road course. I don't think we're going. I think we'll get one at Rich. Do you? Okay. Well, that's going to clear that up. Let's go to Watkins Glen picks then.
Michael McDowell.
Ooh. Gets
his revenge on SVG.
Really?
Michael McDowell.
Wow. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say it as like this. If McDowell ends up winning that race, I'm not going to walk away going, wow, what a shocking victory. What a come from behind story. I'm not going to say that, but like McDowell in this next gen car has had the speed, but McDowell has also had issues
Yes.
at Watkins Glen.
If he does not have issues, which you can say this about anybody, but if he does not have issues knowing about how talented he is on a road course, he should win that race. He should win on Sunday. I have Michael McDowell, and then my second pick's Christopher Bell.
Okay, so McDowell. I mean, so we were just talking about Spire Motorsports and how they always have issues. That'd be interesting. That'd be really interesting. McDowell in the playoffs.
I'm taking one right out of left field, man.
It almost makes me feel like I got to change my picks then.
I'm not going to say SVG.
I was going to say SVG.
That everybody wants to hear.
I was going to say SVG. I think he sweeps all the road course. Or, well, he didn't sweep. He didn't win COTA, so he wanted to sweep them. I was going to go SVG this week. He came close last year, but you went with McDowell and Christopher Bell. I'm going to Hocevar then.
I like that.
I'm going Hocevar. Okay, he finished here third last year. Granted, there was a lot of different strategies and all that type of stuff. According to driveraverages.com, he's got in one race, he finished third. So one top 5, one top 10. He did lead some laps in this race last year. You know what? Screw it. We're going Hocevar.
All right.
We're going Carson Hocevar. And then pick number 2 this week. I feel like the Glen is just so predictable, kind of. You know what? I'm going Buescher. I'll go Buescher back to back. Give me Buescher. Give me Hocevar and Buescher.
That'd be huge.
Now, granted, if you're a betting man, I would go to the bank and I would go pick the Hendrick guys or someone like that because
the Hendrick guys race there really good, but
our picks definitely ain't gonna.
No, don't bet on ours.
No, don't bet on ours at all. Yeah, okay. So you're going McDowell and Christopher Bell. I'm going Hocevar and I'm going Chris Buescher.
All right.
So Shane Van Gisbergen's definitely probably going to win this race. Let's call it as is. But it is fun to give you outliers and all that type of stuff. So, Jake, that's going to take us to the checker flag on tonight's episode. Jam-packed episode, too.
Yeah. Was a good one.
Jam-packed episode. Couple final comments on the Blown Engine chat line. Pete checked in. He said, y'all killing it. Keep it up. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Follow us on Facebook, Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. And Lance Jackson and Bush. I'm assuming Kyle Busch, but that's not going to happen.
I'll say 37th.
37th this week. So, Jake, that's going to take us to the checker flag tonight on tonight's episode. Thanks for everyone tuning in, chiming in on the Blown Engine chat line. Thank you again to Tyler Summerfield joining us this week from Full Throttle Media. Had some really good insight from him. Follow him again on Full Throttle Media. He's done an absolute tremendous job. If you're a NASCAR fan, that is a page to follow. Please help him out. With all that being said, if you're going to the race up in Watkins Glen, enjoy yourself. If you're not and you're watching the race at home, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat next week. Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you next week after Watkins Glen. With all that being said, stay safe, be blessed. Good night.
He didn't slam you, he didn't bump you, he didn't nudge you, he rubbed you. And rubbing, son, is racing.